inviting me to the University of Minnesota to discuss efforts in Congress to improve the quality and affordability of our nation's colleges. The economic future of our country depends on the number of people who complete a college degree. Yet, as the country's need for college graduates has increased, so has the financial risk that students take on to pay for college. The prospect of graduating with a heavy debt leads many students, and particularly low-income students, to opt out of college. For our economy to recover and grow stronger into the future, college students need to be able to get ahead after they graduate, and prospective students need to believe that it's worthwhile to go to college. That is why I'm working with my colleagues in the Senate on a bill to improve the quality and affordability of higher education. Over the next 2 weeks, I plan on visiting several colleges in Minnesota to talk with students about their experiences in paying for college and how the efforts in Congress will affect them. There is a reason I chose to begin my tour of college campuses at the University of Minnesota. Originally, we were going to have it out in a quad with a setting of beautiful trees during colors, but the color would be white. The reason I chose the university is that it was one of the first to adopt the student lending reform that members of Congress are now proposing to extend to all colleges and universities. This bold reform lies at the heart of the higher education bill that the House recently passed and that the Senate will soon consider. Currently under what is known as the Federal Family Education Loan Program, FFEL, the federal government gives money to banks in the form of subsidies to encourage them to lend money to students. Then the government guarantees all the loans so that there's no risk for the banks, just profits subsidized by taxpayers. Now, if you're thinking there must be a better way for the government to lend money to students, well, you're right. The better method is called direct lending. Direct lending slashes administrative costs by cutting out the middleman and lending directly to students, and this is what the university adopted, as President Bruininks said, back in 1995. In that period, 1993, largely thanks to the efforts of another Minnesota Senator, David Durenberger, Congress gave colleges the option of switching from the bank-based lending program to direct lending, and as President Bruininks said, the University of Minnesota was one of the first schools to make the leap to direct lending. If all schools follow the University of Minnesota's lead, the federal government would save $87 billion over 10 years. You heard that figure from Kristi, $87 billion. Now that is scored by the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office. So that's a real $87 billion. Congress live and die by the Congressional Budget Office, and that's their number. The bill that my colleagues and I are working on in the Senate would extend the method that the University of Minnesota uses to conduct lending to all schools and redirect the $87 billion that we would save to help students. In the Senate bill, as in the corresponding House bill, we propose to direct the $87 billion to students in a number of important ways. First, we would invest $40 billion to increase Pell Grants, and the President talked about the importance of that, and ensure that Pell keeps pace with inflation. The Pell Grant program helps thousands of low-income students realize their dream of attaining a college education, and Pell Grants really hold a special place in my wife's family. When Franny was 17 months old, her father, World War II vet, died in a one-car accident on the way back from this second shift at the paper mill in Portland, Maine, and leaving Franny's mom widowed with 5 kids at age 29 without an education herself. My brother-in-law, the one boy, went into the Coast Guard later and got grants are really important to our family. We would also use the savings from eliminating the bank-based lending program to expand low-interest federal Perkins loans to help more low-income students avoid taking out large and expensive private loans. In addition, we would use the savings to help community colleges prepare students for high-skill jobs and help colleges improve their graduation rates, which have been getting lower and lower and compare unfavorably to the rest of the world. And with the money we have left over, we would improve the standards and quality of early childhood education programs so that all kids can get a head start on the path to college. What this all comes down to is a choice about who should benefit from student aid. I think it should be the students. That's why I'm committed to finishing the work of Senator Durenberger, the work that he began in the early 1990s to make the national switch to direct lending, and in the process help more students realize their dream of going to college. This is simply the right thing to do for our students, for our families, for our country, and for our thank you. And if there are any questions, I or President Kristi would be happy to take them, I guess.